Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Her Side of the Ruck. I'm Tash,
I'm Bernice.
and we're not pundits.
We're just two women who know what a ruck is.
On today's episode, we will be talking about the Springboks' success in the Rugby Championship, and it was a great weekend of international rugby for the four Southern Hemisphere teams in that competition. And we'll also be dissecting some of the games from rounds 1 and 2 in the URC, which is also shaping up to have plenty of surprises. But the main headline from this weekend is South Africa go back-to-back in the Rugby Championship. Siya Kolisi captains the nation to another great thing on his roster, adding to the accolades of back-to-back Rugby World Cups. Bernice, can we just get some initial reaction from you as a South African?
Yeah, I think after the match, like now we are very happy and we can celebrate the win and the back-to-back win. Like you said, it's just kind of another accolade for Siya Kolisi to add. But yeah, I think the match itself was quite nervy. I think Argentina stayed in the fight the whole match, and we were kind of like,
Mm.
oh, it was a stop-start game, and it almost felt like it doesn't really want to get going. Yeah, I think we were very happy that we were in the lead by 9 points at one
Mm.
point because just of the way that Argentina was playing. But yeah, I think now we can kind of look back at the Rugby Championship and say it was a successful tour. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's like I think all of the South Africans are so happy. But yeah, I think it was a great match overall and a great TRC season for
Mm.
the Springboks. I don't think we were at our best on Saturday, and I think New Zealand really made the South African match, like the result that New Zealand got in their match, made
Mm.
South Africa's match way more interesting and way more, okay, this is a must-win match, whereas
Mhm.
was only okay, no, even if we walk away with nothing, then we walk away with the championship. If
Mm.
New Zealand had not gotten anything from their match against Australia, but then they ended up with a bonus point win. And yeah, then it ended up being a must win for the Springboks. But yeah, I think it was a quite a stop-start match. It was a nervy first half for the Springboks and also
Mm.
nervy late 10 minutes of the second half. Um, yeah, I think it was a lot tighter match compared to the previous week, obviously.
Yes.
And
Yeah, of
I
course.
wasn't really surprised. Yeah, and like I wasn't really surprised by that. Like
Mm.
I felt like that was kind of expected. Just the way that Argentina is, and like they are a team that stays in the fight, and yeah,
Sure.
so it was expected. And Argentina came into that match; they didn't really have anything to lose.
Yeah, it was all to play for, wasn't it, this weekend? I mean, the All Blacks were so physical in that game against Australia. And I think where the Wallabies, where they gave errors or penalties or whatever it was, the All Blacks really just capitalised on that. And, well, I guess from a neutral's
Mm,
perspective, it was nice to see Oz kick for points as well. So when the All Blacks did make mistakes, they were
mm,
kicking the
yeah.
ball from like 45 metres out and things. And we know Australia for the
Mm,
fast pace, throwing the ball out wide, using the wingers, using the backline players a lot. And they did obviously do that again this weekend against the All Blacks. However, it was nice to see them take points to take points, and this was
mm,
probably the most interesting rugby championship out of a lot of them in
mm,
recent years because you had the All Blacks and the Springboks vying for it. Okay, the Aussies, it would have been a bit of a stretch for them. Argentina were kind of out of it. And I think that's why I'm also
mm,
happy that the weekend was
yeah.
exciting as it was, because Argentina could have just gone, we're never going to win this. We're
Mhm,
playing in London because they sacrificed a home game in Argentina to play in
mm,
the Allianz in Twickenham, which I suppose there is a large Argentinian and a large South African contingent based in London. So it does make sense. When you looked at the crowd, it was quite diverse. However, there was a lot to play for, and I think because the All Blacks thought we can do this, we definitely saw them put their best foot forward. I think every team tries to put their best foot forward, don't they, with every single match, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But I do think the All Blacks did play very, very well. I think the standout player for the All Blacks was Quinn Tupaia. Honestly, he was just like everywhere, chasing the ball, kicking the ball. It honestly a glorious, glorious player to watch in that game.
No, I have to agree with you. And I saw him when he came off the bench in previous matches, and I was like,
Mm,
no, he really has a lot of potential. I'm hoping to see him
mm.
get a start. And then when he did get the start in this match, now he scores two tries. And yeah, I just think he's such a good player, just in terms of like he's also a really good player defensively. So not only on attack, like you said, he was everywhere, but not only on attack, like defensively, he's also a really good player. And I loved watching him play in previous matches as well. But I am very happy that we got to see him get a start. I think he was
Mm.
replaced in like the 57th minute, so he didn't play the full match. But yeah, even in those 50 minutes that he did play, he was really good, and I think he showed great potential.
Yeah, it definitely made his mark on the game for
Mm,
sure. And I think it sets up a really exciting prospect for the autumn nations and the autumn internationals because we've got a really great roster of matches. I'm pretty sure the All Blacks
mhm,
play Wales, which I think will be a bit of a steamroller for the Kiwis on that occasion,
mhm,
given the state of Welsh rugby. But it will still be a great attendance at the Principality. But on this occasion, in the final round of the TRC, the All Blacks were just more physical. They're a lot more physical. They didn't make as many errors as the Aussies. And when you've got Tapia everywhere, kicking the ball, chasing it, scoring brilliant tries, well, sometimes that individual brilliance can win you a match. And actually, rugby is obviously a big team game. But when you do have, I'm one of these people when it comes to ego. Sometimes you need to put ego aside, right, and be like, you have to
mhm,
do what the team plan is, what the team needs. But then occasionally you get someone with a big ego just go,
mhm.
I want to perform, and I'm going to show
Yeah.
everybody that I want that starting jersey week in, week out. And
Mhm,
Tapia definitely put his hand up for that. So that was a cracking game. Followed up though, the pressure was put on the Springboks at the start of the match, and Argentina hold on to half time. But it was the first kind of from like the 40th minute into the 60th minute, the Springboks just were on a roll. The Argentinians did come back, which is what made it such an exciting game. But where we normally see the Springboks, well, it's interesting actually. When we see the Springboks playing the World Cups, they kick and kick and kick and kick, don't they? It's
mhm,
points wherever they can. And I've watched them play several times where they will just give it to Hondre, and Hondre Pollard will kick for post if there's a penalty. And honestly, win however you can win. I always think,
mhm.
even if it was against England in 2023, and I was very upset. Anyway,
Oh.
we forget the past. We forget the past. Um, but what we've seen from the summer tests and coming into the TRC, we've seen Springboks play with a lot more diversity, I think.
Yeah, no. And I think that is something that excites Springbok fans as well, because we
Mm.
love watching that type of rugby. And yes, even though we did win matches and we won World Cups with the type of style that you explained, I think this is so much fun to watch. And it's good to see that we can bring that into play, but we also have like our backup go to our DNA when we have to. And that's
Yes.
exactly what I think happened this weekend. We kind of tried to fit into Argentina's pattern of play in the first half, and then we kind of saw, okay, this is not working for us. Let's resort back to our DNA. We played a lot more with our forwards in the second half, and yeah, it worked out well, fortunately for us. But yeah, so I think it's kind of having that diversity and knowing when to use which style of play and when
Yes.
to adapt, obviously depending on how the match goes. But yeah, I think that is like despite like the depth that we have in our squad, I think you also need to have diversity in your style of play because it's not going to fit every match and every single condition, and sometimes it gets a little bit predictable. So I
Mhm.
think now that we do have those players that we can bring in to play that type of game, I think that really helps South Africa a lot.
I agree. I think that we are seeing a trend in the men's game, both international and at club level, with this fast flowing, using the wingers, because honestly, those are the tries that make the highlight reel, aren't they? More oftentimes than not, rather than having a really scrappy drive for the try line, or you're going and you're recycling the ball and you get held up and then you go again and you go again, you pick and go. Those tries aren't as glamorous, I suppose, but the nitty gritty, the core rugby union fans will always love a good try. Like for me, I would love a try from a driving wall, a great set piece. Oh, I don't know. I just like it.
Ooh.
I just like it when what you've put in training comes off on the field you do it really well. But you cannot deny the majesty of fast flowing rugby. And I think South Africa have definitely put their hands up to show they've got that style of play. We know that Argentina do that. They've done it against several teams, but as we've said on previous episodes, they can't seem to penetrate consistently into the top four teams. And is
Mm.
that maybe a reason because they fluctuate as a result of their style? I don't know. The best rugby teams at international level or at club level have great forwards, great set pieces. Now, it's great that you can throw the ball around and you're fast and stuff, but I've seen it a lot, particularly in the English men's league. I'll take Bristol Bears, for example. They love to throw the ball around. They are very good at attack, particularly counter attack. You give them open field, they will run the ball and score tries. And I hate it because they did that to Leicester in round one of the Prem, and I was obviously very upset as a Tigers fan. Anyway, but once you work out how to close them down, narrow them down, and just go back to the set piece. You dominate someone up front in the scrum, or you slow down speed of ball. They don't know what to do. So I think, as you say, Bernice, I agree with you very strongly here. If you cannot diversify the style of play that you have, it doesn't matter how good of a number of individual players you have in your team. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how good your team cohesion is. If you're just running straight in attack and you're not changing up your tactics on the field, whether it's with attack or defense, well, quite frankly, tactics do actually will win you the game. I've said this when I used to coach people. I'm a badminton coach, by the way, not that I played rugby. However, we always say technique is the foundation for everything. If you have crap technique, you, well, you're going to get steamrolled by someone who's got better technique than you. But if you know your flaws in your technique, tactically you can work out maybe how to overcome them. However, when you're playing top international rugby, you won't have nearly as many flaws as a club player or an amateur player, for example, because well, that's your job to be really good at that.
Yeah.
So you've got teams facing each other who technically are they're all matched. They're all very much level. You might have some people like in the back row who are better at turnover ball, who might be better at scrummaging, etc., etc. However, then it's the details of the tactics and the strategy, and does that pull come off in the first 40 and then the second 40? I always think the halftime talk is crucial, and I think for Razzie and the Springboks, the halftime talk in this final match of the TRC was vital.
Yeah, and I also just want to add to what you said about, individual brilliance versus kind of your style of play. And I
Mm,
think in the first half, what I felt like the Springboks did was they were a little bit too individualistic in their style of play, whereas in the second half we were a little bit more cohesive and it
mm.
it seemed to work really well for us. But I genuinely thought that Argentina played well, and they also
Yes.
did so well in terms of their aerial battle. I think they won the aerial battle this weekend,
Mm,
almost every single time. And I know you're going to give a word on Santi Carreras, but they just have so many talented players.
mm,
I think their forwards are outstanding.
mm.
Marcos Kremer, I think he made 18 tackles or something. Like that's insane. It feels like I don't want to say that because the Argentinians might hate me, but I feel like he's the Peter Stefatoy of like Argentina. But it means in a very good way.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just feel like he's insane in terms of defensively and just at Ruck time. He's that
Mm.
hard worker that you really need in your team. And John Cruz Malia is also very good on the wing. Also felt like Santiago Carreras was so good throughout the whole rugby championship.
So good. I mean, he does this crossfield kick to set up Argentina for a try on the right wing. Oh, it was lovely. It's so lovely.
Beautiful.
His kicking for posts. He missed one, and that kind of bounced off the right hand
Yeah.
post. But pretty much otherwise, his kicking was awesome. He can run the
Mm.
ball like anything. He's got wheels, that guy. And oh, I don't want to say this as a Tigers fan, but flipping heck, Bath have got some bloody good players in their team this year because the traditional rivalry, one of the traditional rivalries in English rugby is Leicester Tigers don't really like Bath rugby, or Bath rugby as the people down there like to call it. But Bath have made a really great signing. Santi Carreras moves from Gloucester Rugby to Bath this season, and for me, that signing for them as a club puts their hands up for like they want to win the European competition. They've gone.
Mm.
We've won the Prem. We've signed. We've now got Finn Russell, who's going to be our man at 10. We're going to have Santi Carreras, who's going to be our main man at 15. And so two cracking kickers. And if they
Mm.
both have a good day as a club team,
Mm.
oh my goodness, so I wouldn't want any team. I definitely don't want Leicester to play all of those teams, but with all of that squad. But they've made some cracking signings, and Santi Carreras has proven probably why he's worth the money that he's on. Because in that game against Argentina, not only was he a playmaker, but his kicking was great and generally just fantastic on the field. And I've watched him play over the past few years, and he's always been good, but now
Mm.
he's great,
Mm.
really, really, really great. And
Yeah.
yeah, if you were going to pick the best international fullback in the world right now, I don't know who I would pick, but Santi Carreras would be in the decisions for that place.
Like in the last like few of his matches, he's just been a
Mm.
lot more consistent. And I think that's where kind of in the past he was, he had a good game here and there and
Yeah,
like an
sure.
okay match here and there, but now he's consistently good. And I feel like that's what makes a good player. He's also that player that stands out when his team doesn't necessarily perform at their best, or when his team loses a match, he's still the one that has like that standout performance. So
Mm.
I can't wait to see him play for Bath or Bath.
I think it's Bath in your accent with the South African
Yeah.
accent. It's Bath in my accent as someone who's from the East Midlands in England. But yeah, he is a fantastic player. Put his hand up. But I think you had two teams this weekend, South Africa and Argentina, who were captained, or the skippers were by two of the best captains in the world, like Sia Khaleesi and Julian Montoya. You've got two incredible individuals in those forward packs, Montoya at two, Khaleesi in the back row. But South Africa do it. So if you're South Africa and you're watching, congratulations. It's just another thing to add to the roster and sets you up for a very good, hopefully, run into the Autumn Nations. You know what? I'm gutted that South Africa aren't playing England. I would have loved, I think we both would have loved to see that match.
Yeah.
We'd have a lot
I
of
would have been
different.
in England.
I know, I know, I know,
Mom.
I know, I know. Oh well, I'll be doing my trip to the Southern Hemisphere before you come up to England.
Yeah.
But sweet to book my flights. I would be doing that soon. Okay, but yeah, great weekend. Obviously, some very happy South Africans. Feel free to comment, go Bocker in below. I sent Bernice a message after I'd finished working Ealing's game at Bedford. I saw the score and I was like, oh, she'll be happy. I'll send her a message. So apparently, I've now been adopted. So
Yeah.
until the Springboks play England, and then maybe not.
Yeah, we're claiming Tash for now.
Yeah. Until there's a fixture between our two nations, then I'll happily be claimed.
Yeah, Tash, there's this saying, it's not common, but um it's more so applicable to like the local teams, where people
Mm.
like to say it, but I'm gonna say it now to you. So there's only two types of supporters. The
Mm.
supporters that are Springbok supporters and the ones who want to be Springbok supporters.
I do like the colour green. It's the same. It's the same dark green as Tigers, so I can maybe get on
Yeah.
board with that. Okay, mentioning a club rugby team, let's talk about the United Rugby Championship. We have had two rounds and definitely been a couple of surprises in there. Some very close contests. Two games from round two were postponed as a result of Storm Amy. The date and time of those are to be confirmed by the league. But the other games that have took
Yeah.
place this weekend and the weekend before have been very interesting. Let's start with the opening round from round one. Stormers versus Leinster. I think Stormers fans Well, I saw a lot of commentary from Stormers fans after that match, and they were buzzing. 35-0. And okay, Leinster didn't put out their strongest team, but so what?
Yeah, that was insane. And I just think it wasn't expected, even though Leinster didn't bring their strongest side.
Yeah, sure.
I still don't think that that was the expected result. And I think Leinster have been nilled I think the last time they were nilled was like 2018 or something. So, I mean, it just goes to show what the Stormers did because in the
Mm.
history books, it's not going to say this was the team that Leinster put on the field.
No, no.
They're just going to say it was Leinster versus the DHL Stormers, and that was the result.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. And I mean, you got to give the club a bit of credit that half of their boys were in the British and Irish Lions squad. So a lot of Leinster, people
Hmm.
call Leinster like the Irish national team. Well, a lot of the Irish national team do play at Leinster. So, okay, cut them a bit of slack there. But at the same time, when you've got that record, even when you've got a B team or a C team going out, all these boys train together. They will be passing the ball and hitting each other week in, week out. And the way that Leinster play, when they score, when they get momentum, they score once, they normally score twice. So it's very rare that you see Leinster only get 7 points or 5 points in a game. You normally see them get minimum of 10 because they'll either score a try and convert it and then kick a penalty, or they'll go on to score two tries. They're very much a momentum team. But yeah, nailing them that. Yep, if you're a Stormers fan, you'll be very happy. And then they lost again against the Bulls. They are riding at the bottom of the table. That was a closer game, though. I think 39-31. I mean, the Vodacom Bulls will
Yeah.
obviously be unhappy with the result from the 2025 or 2024-25 final in Dublin, which crowned
Mhm.
Leinster as because they are current champions. But that was a closer game, but still very good. But Bulls for me always put their hand up in the URC. If this isn't the year
Mhm.
for them to win, I don't know when is
Mhm.
the year because they always get into the top eight, pretty much always
Mhm.
in the top four. They normally progress to the semi-finals or the finals, and they've lost in two finals on the bounce. At home to Glasgow and then away to Leinster. There's a lot of wounds there. So I'm pretty sure they'll be trying to prove a point. But if you're a Bulls fan and you're watching this, let us know your feelings in the comment section because they are at the top of the table right now.
Um, so just a word on the referee in the Leinster versus Vodacom Bulls match. I thought that Adam Jones had a really good match, and I feel like we don't often mention anything about the referees because we
Mm.
don't really want to make that the talking point or the focus point. But I really want to give a word on Adam Jones in a good way. So Adam Jones was really clear in terms of his communication, and I know there will be a lot of talks on the yellow card should it have been upgraded to a red card and all of that. But regardless of that, I thought that he was very clear in his communication. He was very
Mm.
decisive in terms of his decision making on the field, and that was really good to see. So both ways. And yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention that because you watch a lot of games and there's a lot of referees and there's a lot of decisions that you often think, oh, that's a little bit dubious or that could have gone either way. But yeah, I
Yeah,
think
sure.
clear communication really helps. And yeah, so I thought he did a great job at managing what was quite a tough match.
Oh yeah, there's a big rivalry between the Bulls and Leinster. So, and we should praise referees when they have a good match because we've all watched a game of rugby where we've gone flipping it. Ref had a bit of a shocker there, whether our team won or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, praise when good refereeing happens and it sets the standard of where it needs to be every single match because it shouldn't be surprising that we have someone who's got great communication, really decisive, knows rugby
Mhm.
law inside and out. That's what referees should be doing, if not 100% of the time,
Yeah.
90 to 95% of the time. So, yeah, definitely worth mention. I think some other teams who will be happy coming out from rounds one and two, Munster, they've definitely put their hand up. Munster are definitely, well, they always, again, always seem to get into the top eight pretty
Mm.
much more often than not. They obviously won the URC a couple of years ago. They've signed a couple of new players. They've lost a couple of their old guard. Let's say like Rory Scannell. He had 200 appearances for the club. Can play fly half, inside, outside centre. He's actually moved to Ealing, which is why I mentioned his name because he's at the club that I work at now. But then they've signed Dan Kelly from he was at Sale, then he was in the academy, then he was at Leicester Tigers when Tigers won the Gallagher Prem a couple of years ago. Wasn't really getting many starts for the club. A very good defensive player. He can attack, but his game, what he's known for, is being big and very good defensively. So they've got a couple of new signings in their squad this year, and I think it's starting to show. You've got a real mixture of people, of players who've been there for a long time and new players. But Munster are always a very gritty team, and again, they will be vying to get that trophy back again. But the team that I suppose I might describe as a dark horse, well, no, actually, a dark zebra. I need to stop with my
Mm.
poor puns. Zebre Palmer have won 2 out of 2 games in the URC. They beat Edinburgh in round one with a late comeback, and they clinch it against the Emirates Lions. And they nearly drew 20 all. And the kick was bang on the shot clock, and it goes through the post. Look, a word on Zebre. People always thought that they were an easy team to beat. They're not. They love to throw the ball around. These are young guys. A lot of them played under 20s for Italy and will go on to represent the Italian national team. But they don't stop. You've got to be really careful with your defence, and you can't switch off because these are very lively, vibrant young men who, quite frankly, just want to go around scoring tries. And that was another great game to watch, Zebre versus the Emirates Lions. And it just goes to show the URC can have some really great matchups in the league. But they're quite high. This is the highest they've been up in the table like that I've ever seen them in the history
Wow.
of the league. And you know what? They're a really nice club. And I think there's a
Mm.
lot of other fans who support other teams in the URC who are like, Zebra Palmer, yeah, they're a sound club. They're really good. So I don't know. I'm not sure what we can expect from them this season. There's part of me that thinks, you know what? I'd love to see them get in the top eight and just shake it up a little bit because we see the same teams typically make the top eight.
Mm.
Obviously, we both want the Hollywood Bet Sharks and Glasgow Warriors to be in the top eight, of course, because they're our 2 teams that we support on this channel. But I'd also love to see if Zebre can really put their hand in the mix. So the URC will continue. We'll also have those other 2 matches that got postponed being played at some point in the calendar. So we will be talking a lot about club rugby on this channel again. And yeah, if you enjoyed this episode, please let us know in the comment section or by giving us a like. If you're new to the channel, hit that red subscribe button. We're trying to get to 350 subscribers, and every subscription helps. So thank you very much. Also, if there's anything you want us to talk about in particular, we want to hear it. We want to know. We've covered the Women's Rugby World Cup, we've covered the British and Irish Lions, the TRC and the URC. So if there's anything else that you're interested in listening to a Brit and a Safa talk about on this pod, well, please just let us know in the comments and we can see what we can do. But for now, thank you so much for watching another episode of Her Side of the Ruck. Signing off from the UK is me, Tash.
Signing off from South Africa is me, Bernice.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.